Wike in court and other governors also sued over alleged 40 trillion naira allocation. Hello viewers and welcome to Info Gist TV. SERAP has sued some governors, including the FCT minister Wike, over failure to account for missing 40 trillion naira local council allocations. This suit is over their failure to account for the alleged missing 40 trillion naira federal allocations meant for local governments in the states and the FCT, which is the Federal Capital Territory. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the Nigerian governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Mr. Nyesom Wike. This suit is over their failure to account for the alleged missing 40 trillion naira federal allocation meant for local governments in the states and the Federal Capital Territory. This suit followed the revelation by former President Muhammadu Buhari, who in December 2022 stated that if the money from the federation account to the state is about 100 million naira, 50 million naira will be sent to the chairman, but he will sign that he received 100 million naira. The chairman will pocket the balance and share it. In the suit number, the suit, which is bearing FHC/ABJ/CS/2231/2024, filed at the Federal High Court Abuja, SERAP is asking the court to direct and compel the governors to publish details of the local government allocations and actual disbursement of the allocations to local governments in their respective states from 1999 to date. SERAP is also asking the court to compel and direct Mr. Nyesom Wike to publish details of federal allocations meant for the area council in the Federal Capital Territory and the actual disbursement of the allocations to the area councils in the FCT from 1999 to date. In the suit, SERAP argues thus that the Nigerian Constitution of 1999 as amended, the Freedom of Information Act and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights impose transparency obligations on the governors and Mr. Wike, who is the Federal Capital Territory Minister, to publish the details of the local government area allocations and actual disbursement in the states and the Federal Capital Territory. State governors and Mr. Wike cannot hide under the excuse that the Freedom of Information Act is not applicable to their states and the Federal Capital Territory. The legal obligations to publish the information sought are also imposed by the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. The suit, filed on behalf of SERAP by its lawyers Kolowale Oluwadere, Kehinde Onyewumi, and Andrew Wankwo, read in part, opacity in the amount of the federal allocations actually disbursed to local governments in the state and the Federal Capital Territory has continued to have negative impacts on the fundamental interests of the citizens. It said the governors and Mr. Wike have a legal responsibility to promote transparency and accountability in the actual disbursement and spending of the federal allocations meant for local government areas in the states and the Federal Capital Territory, and also to ensure that the allocations are duly and fully disbursed to the local governments. Now, despite the country's enormous oil wealth, ordinary Nigerians have derived very little benefits from oil money, primarily because of widespread grand corruptions and a culture of impunity of perpetrators. Combating the corruption epidemic in the spending of federal allocations meant for local government areas in the states and the Federal Capital Territory, it would alleviate poverty, improve access of Nigerians to basic public goods, and enhance the ability of the local governments to effectively and efficiently discharge their constitutional and statutory responsibilities. Now, according to our information, the 36 states in Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have collected over 40 trillion naira federal allocations meant for the 774 local government areas in the country and the Federal Capital Territory, including its the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, disbursed to states 225.21 billion naira federal allocations meant for local governments in November 2023 alone. Now, states also collected 258,810,449,711.47 billion naira federal allocations meant for local government areas in December 2023. However, there is opacity in the actual disbursement of federal allocations to the local government areas in the states and the Federal Capital Territory states. And the FCT have over the years failed and or refused to disclose the portion of federal allocations that are disbursed to local governments. Now, the former President Muhammad Buhari's administration then recently alleged that state governors routinely pocket or divert federal allocations meant for local government areas in the state. Now, combining all this information, the SERAP has decided to sue the state governors, including former Governor Wike, who is currently the Federal Capital Territory Minister, to account for the 40 trillion naira meant for local government allocations. Meanwhile, there is hardship as Akpabio governor debunks Senate President Akpabio's 30 billion naira paliative claim. He says he may be speaking in prophecy. The Senate President, who had said this during one of the plenary sessions of the federal lawmakers, described the several protests held in some major cities in the country against rising hunger and hardship as sponsored by political stakeholders. Governor Umo Eno of Akwa State has said that the Senate President Godswill Akpabio's claim that the federal government has given the 36 states of the Federation 30 billion naira for palliatives to cushion the hardship in the country is a prophecy that he prays will come to pass. Governor Eno, who said this while addressing journalists, said that the federal government only gave state governments 2 billion naira for palliatives and in turn wrote to state governments that the 20 billion naira was a loan and should be refunded. Now, our reporters on Thursday reported that Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State countered Akpabio's claim, saying that the federal government did not give 30 billion naira to the state governments, as claimed by the federal lawmakers. Also, our reporters reported that Senator Akpabio said that all the 36 state governors in the state received additional 30 billion naira from the Federal Inland Revenue Service to tackle the food scarcity situations in the country. The Senate President, who had said this during one of the plenary sessions of the federal lawmakers, described the several protests held in some major cities in the country against rising hunger and hardship as sponsored by political stakeholders. He further added that the newly released funds for the state governors are different from their monthly allocations and urged them not to divert the funds for another cause different from solving food stuff scarcity. Now, on Saturday, Governor Eno said, "We are in time where people want to be relevant and they feel that being relevant is to incite the public, tell lies against the government. I know that no civil society behaves like that. You have to understand how civil societies in other climes work and try to balance informations. The allocation to government is managed by the State Ministry of Finance. There is a budget and there is always a published account. I would have asked that he let the account be published and then he asks questions rather than raise false alarms." Speaking further, Governor Eno said that on the palliatives, thank God he was on the palliative committee. that the money that the federal government gave to him or to the state, and indeed to all states, was 2 billion naira, even though the federal government said it was 5 billion naira. That we are yet to receive the balance of 3 billion naira. Even the 2 billion naira the federal government has written to us, that it has to be refunded. If we refund the money that was generally believed to be funds that was given to the state, it means that it is the state that did the palliatives. Now, beyond the 2 billion naira, we spent over 5 billion naira, even when you add the salaries that we paid for 3 months. We spent over that. And on the one that the states have been given, 30 billion naira for palliatives, I think it is a prophecy, and I pray the prophecy will come to pass. We are in the state and people are there in Abuja. Maybe there is a plan like that, so I join in praying that it should come to pass. It will help all of us. But as I stand today, we have not received more than 2 billion naira from the federal government on palliatives, and we are made to understand that it was a loan.